Throughout history, there are few countries that have undergone a dramatic transformation between their relationships, one of them having stood out between the United States and Vietnam. From the disastrous history of the Vietnam War to the flourishing strategic partnership of the 21st century, these two nations have shown that diplomacy, shared interests, and mutual respect can turn even the most hostile of adversaries into close allies. In this video, we will examine the factors that have contributed to this remarkable turnaround, with a particular focus on the economic, political, and security dimensions of the US-Vietnam relationship. We will also explore the future trajectory of this partnership and consider how both countries can continue to strengthen their ties and work together to address regional and global challenges. To understand the dynamics of the US-Vietnam relationship, it is essential to begin with a brief overview of their shared history. The Vietnam War was a conflict that pitted the communist government of North Vietnam, backed by the Soviet Union and China, against the US-supported South Vietnam. The war caused immense suffering on both sides. In the years following the war, the two nations maintained a frosty distance from one another. However, the 1986 introduction of the Doi Moi policy in Vietnam, which sought to transition the country from a centrally planned economy to a socialist-oriented market economy, marked the beginning of a slow thaw in relations. The normalization of diplomatic ties in 1995, driven by then U.S. President Bill Clinton and Vietnamese Prime Minister Vo Van Kiet, proved to be a turning point in the relationship. As Vietnam's economy began to open up, American businesses seized the opportunity to invest in the rapidly developing nation. The signing of the bilateral trade agreement in 2000 marked a significant milestone in the economic relationship, with trade between the two countries growing from just $451 million in 1995 to more than $110 billion by 2021. Vietnam has become the United States' 10th largest trading partner, while the US is Vietnam's largest export market, with major products including textiles, footwear, and electronics. Vietnam's inclusion in the now-defunct Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiations and its subsequent participation in the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership further strengthened economic ties between the two nations. Vietnam's economy has benefited greatly from these connections, with World Bank data showing that its GDP per capita increased from just $1,160 in 2000 to $3,409 in 2021. Foreign direct investment has also played a critical role in fostering economic independence. In 2022, the United States was Vietnam's 11th largest source of FDI, with over $10.4 billion invested across sectors such as manufacturing, energy, and technology. The growing presence of American businesses in Vietnam, such as Intel, Ford, and General Electric, has created jobs, spurred innovation, and contributed to the country's economic development. Another critical aspect of the US-Vietnam relationship lies in the role played by the overseas Vietnamese community living in the United States. The Vietnamese diaspora, which consists of approximately 2.2 million individuals, represents a vital link between the two countries and contributes to the strengthening of cultural, economic, and social ties. The majority of Vietnamese immigrants arrived in the United States as refugees in the aftermath of the Vietnam War. Despite facing numerous challenges such as language barriers, cultural differences, and limited resources, they have managed to establish thriving communities across the country, particularly in areas such as California, Texas, and Virginia. These communities have significantly contributed to the diverse fabric of American society and have enriched the cultural landscape through their unique customs, food, and festivals. The overseas Vietnamese community in the United States has played a pivotal role in fostering people-to-people ties and promoting mutual understanding between the two nations. As a testament to their dedication to cultural exchange, many Vietnamese Americans have established organizations and initiatives to preserve and promote Vietnamese culture, language, and heritage within the United States. The political aspect of the US-Vietnam relationship has also evolved considerably since the end of the Vietnam War. These two countries share a mutual interest in maintaining regional stability and addressing global challenges, such as climate change and non-proliferation. Vietnam's role as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council and its successful chairmanship of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations in 2020 further demonstrate its growing stature on the international stage and its alignment with U.S. interests in the region. The U.S. has actively supported Vietnam's political and economic reforms, providing development assistance and technical support to help the country transition to a market-oriented economy and improve its governance structures. Programs funded by the U.S., the Agency for International Development, has focused on areas such as trade facilitation, legal and regulatory reform, and environmental protection, which have contributed to Vietnam's progress towards achieving its development goals. Human rights and civil liberties remain an area of concern in the U.S.-Vietnamese relationship. While the U.S. has acknowledged improvements in Vietnam's human rights record, concerns over freedom of expression, association, and religion persist. The two countries have established a U.S.-Vietnam human rights dialogue as a forum to address these issues, with the latest round taking place in 2021. As Vietnam continues to integrate into the global economy and strengthen its ties with the U.S., it is likely that pressures for further political liberalization and human rights improvements will continue. The security relationship between the U.S. and Vietnam has also undergone a significant transformation, particularly in the past decade. Both countries share concerns over China's growing assertiveness in the South China Sea and its implications for regional stability and the rules-based international order. This has led to closer cooperation between the U.S. and Vietnam in the areas of maritime security, defense, and intelligence sharing. In 2016, the U.S. fully lifted its decades-long ban on arms sales to Vietnam, paving the way for greater defense cooperation and technology transfers. Since then, the two countries have participated in joint military exercises, such as the annual Pacific Partnership exercise, which focuses on disaster response and humanitarian assistance. Moreover, the U.S. has provided Vietnam with maritime security assistance, including the delivery of patrol vessels and the provision of training to the Vietnamese Coast Guard. This cooperation is intended to enhance Vietnam's maritime domain awareness and help it better protect its territorial waters and exclusive economic zone. The transformation of the U.S.-Vietnam relationship from bitter adversaries during the Vietnam War to close strategic partners in the 21st century is a testament to the power of diplomacy and mutual interests. Through a combination of economic engagement, political dialogue, and security cooperation, both countries have managed to overcome the historical animosity that once characterized their relationship. Moving forward, it is crucial for the U.S. and Vietnam to continue deepening their ties in order to address shared challenges and promote regional stability. This includes further expanding trade and investment, enhancing cooperation on regional and global issues, and continuing to strengthen their security partnership. By working together, the U.S. and Vietnam can build on their remarkable progress and contribute to a more prosperous, stable, and secure future for both nations and the broader Indo-Pacific region. In addition, the U.S. and Vietnam can also explore new avenues of collaboration in emerging areas such as digital technology, green energy, and healthcare. Developing joint initiatives in these sectors can not only spur economic growth and innovation, but also address global challenges such as climate change, cybersecurity, and public health. For instance, the U.S. can support Vietnam's ambitious renewable energy targets, which aim to increase the share of renewables in its energy mix to 21% by 2030. Joint ventures in clean technology can create new investment opportunities for American firms, while also helping Vietnam transition to a low-carbon economy and meet its Paris Agreement commitments. Similarly, the two countries can collaborate on digital infrastructure and capacity, building projects to harness the potential of the digital economy. With a young, tech-savvy population and rapidly growing internet penetration, Vietnam has the potential to become a digital powerhouse in Southeast Asia. U.S. companies can contribute to this growth by investing in areas such as e-commerce, fintech, and telecommunications, which can create jobs and drive economic development. Finally, the U.S. and Vietnam can strengthen their cooperation in healthcare, particularly in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. This can include joint efforts to develop and distribute vaccines, improve healthcare systems, and share best practices in disease prevention and control. Collaborating in this area can not only save lives, but also build trust and goodwill between the two nations. In conclusion, the U.S.-Vietnam strategic partnership has come a long way since the end of the Vietnam War. The two countries have successfully overcome their past animosity and built a multifaceted relationship that spans economic, political, and security dimensions. To ensure the continued growth and vitality of this partnership, it is important for both nations to deepen their engagement in existing areas of cooperation, while also exploring new opportunities for collaboration in sectors such as digital technology, green energy, and healthcare. By working together to address shared challenges and seize new opportunities, the U.S. and Vietnam can continue to build a more prosperous, stable, and secure future for their people and the wider region.